In today's video, we are going to be building the most efficient chocolate milk setup in Farming and Friends that I could come up with. Now, I know there's going to be people out there saying, oh, well, Bunny, you can stack 4 barns on top of each other or something crazy like that. This is the most efficient setup I could come up with. I spent a few hours working on this, and I'm very proud of it. And this is going to be my new main chocolate milk setup. So this video is going to teach you how to make it. Now for this, we are going to need 4 barns, 52 cows, and some coins to spend on some random things like fences, and then we also need 2 chocolate milk factories. Now the first thing we're going to start off by doing is building the barns. Now of course the barns are already built, but this is not where we are going to keep them. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag, we'll drag 2 barns over here for now. I'm going to try and build this so like it's symmetrical, because that's like the whole point of this design. It's going to be symmetrical and really nice. But we're going to take 2 of these automatic barns. You want these specific ones, so like 64,000 coins. And we're going to build one right here like this. There we go. As you can see, this is like the middle of my plot. I built a little light here to indicate that. So we're going to build one like this, and before we build the second one, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to outdoor, and it depends what decorations you have unlocked. For example, I have this rickety fence that I'm going to be using, which is I think it was probably only available during the Halloween event. And we're going to go ahead and I'll show you other options you can use in case you don't have this specific item. But you want to go ahead and wherever it's like the middle of your plot, which is right here, we're going to be building a wall of fences. Now it only takes 3 of these. We can just build them like this. Make sure there are no gaps, because what this is, oh my gosh, that's a scary cow. You're not a cow. That's like a spider thing. I don't know. Anyways, the whole point of the fences is to manipulate the cow behavior so that when the cows are in here, they only enter and exit from this entrance. Now, if you don't have the rickety fence, let's go ahead and look at some other obstacles you can build. You could, for example, use this stone wall. The only problem is that it's going to be slightly larger than this thin fence, so there might be a slight gap in between the barn that we're going to be placing here in a second. But the stone wall is a great option. You can also use the tool rack. These are just like funny solutions, I guess. This is slightly thinner than the stone wall, but you can place these in a row over here where these fences are. You could probably also make a wall out of wheels as well. This is probably the thinnest option, but we're going to go ahead and you can just basically place any outdoor thing that will fit here that can block this entrance. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back into build mode and we're going to select this barn here. Now this barn, we're going to place it as closely as possible to this barn here. It doesn't matter if there's a gap or not. I just want to have it as closely as possible because it just looks nicer. So we're going to go like this, and we're going to make sure it's perfectly lined up. So I think this is as closely together as we can get these barns. As you can see, using these fences, literally this is the gap, and that is exactly what we want. But if your gap is a bit bigger between the 2 barns, that's completely okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the other 2 barns. Now these 2 barns are going to go right here like this. Wait a second, we have to get this lined up perfectly. And this one, right now I have the grid off. If you go to the bottom left corner, you can select move. That's how I moved this barn here, is I set move to 0, so that way there's no grid it's stuck on. And we're gonna move this, we want it as closely as possible to the middle, kind of like this, or like the middle of these 2 white corner pieces. And I think that's perfect. There we go, because we want to be able to park 1 tanker trailer here. We don't want 2. We want 1 tanker trailer to be the most efficient. Now we're going to go ahead and select our final automatic barn. We're going to rotate this one 180 degrees. And we're going to do the same on this side as well, because like I said, I want to have this set up to be completely symmetrical. And we're going to do our best we can. We're going to place it like that. And we're going to go ahead, press the check mark, and there we go. So this is the layout for the barns. But the next thing we need to do before we move the chocolate milk factories over here is we need to go ahead and place more barriers. So you can choose whatever barrier you would like. Just make sure you are not using any of the fences in this tab. These are not going to be sufficient. So use your stone wall. If you don't have this rickety fence, that's okay. I think everyone has the stone wall. And we're going to go ahead and we need to block off this entrance over here. Now just quickly zooming out, it is this entrance here where my cursor is. We also need to go ahead and block off this one over here. Now you can actually build the fence inside of like what is the foundation of this barn, because this barn is slightly asymmetrical, which is kind of funny. But once you have these fences built, we're going to go ahead and do a quick walkthrough. So this will show you what the barn should look like. You should have a wall there. The only entrances that should be accessible by cows should be this one here and this one here in this corner. And then you should have a fence separating these two conjoined barns. And then these entrances, again, should be the same as the other side. These two should be the only entrances for these two barns, and this one over here should be blocked off. Now, a lot of this setup relies on manipulating the cow behavior, and if you think this is it, well, no, there's more to come. But we're going to go ahead and place our chocolate milk factories. Now, we're going to have the platforms where you deposit all of the ingredients. They're going to be on the inside of this design we have here. So it doesn't really matter, but we're going to have the platform lined up basically with the little white corners over here from the area where you receive milk. So we're going to place that one here. And we'll go ahead and select the next chocolate milk factory. Now we're going to rotate this one 90 degrees. So again, the platform is facing on the inside. But one extra consideration we have to take is that, well, the entrance is going to be kind of blocked if you build it too closely to the barn. So I think this should be fine. I don't think that's too significant of a gap. So we're going to go ahead and build that right there. And I think this is good. Okay, awesome. And I'll explain how this setup works in a bit. So we're going to go ahead and build a fence around this entire setup. Now, cows, this enclosure here, it's keeping 52 cows happy enough, so you don't need that large of an enclosure. However, as part of this cow behavior manipulation, we're going to be creating one large pen for all of the cows. So for this one, we can turn the grid back on, and what we're going to do is, if you built everything as I showed you in this video so far, where it's basically symmetrical, you shouldn't have any difficulty building this fence. So what we're going to do is basically just have to make sure it doesn't intersect with any of the barns and then with the chocolate milk factories. And we're just going to resize it like this. Now it does look as if, I have to get rid of this light. Hold on. Okay, so this is what it should look like. I have to go to the other side to actually confirm it's the right size. But we can also resize this so that it is like that. There we go. So it's as close as possible to the barns. That way we can save space for all the cocoa trees. And then over here, this is where the factories are. We'll need to include some gates. We'll do that in a bit. But for now, we'll go ahead and I think that should be sufficient. We're going to go ahead and build this fence as closely as possible to the chocolate milk factories. There we go. We'll press the check mark and voila. So the next thing we need to do to further control the cow behavior is build a bunch of more barriers. Now these barriers we're going to specifically use, this is going to be decoration everyone should have access to. We're going to be using this hedge for 600 coins. Now you can probably use other things as well, but this one, it's outdoorsy, so that goes well with this. And then also it does block the cows. So we're going to set our grid to 0, and we're going to basically need to separate these two barns from one another. So we're going to try and have 13 cows in this area and then another 13 cows in this area. So this is going to be pretty simple. What we're going to do is we're going to build this hedge. Basically, you want to have them as closely as possible to one another. We're going to have this one. We're going to start it here. We're going to build a large row all the way over here, but we're not going to build it all the way to the fence. So we're going to go ahead and just basically place them side by side by side. And then once you get to this area over here, we're actually going to build an automatic animal feeder because those are decent to have on a setup like this. Now you can build more than one of these, but I'm just going to be building one. We're going to plop this down, I think right here. Now we're going to try and just place this right in the middle. So we're going to go ahead and just try and get this perfect. There we go. So we'll plop this right here and we'll get another hedge built here in a second to go ahead and completely block it. So there's a 400 coin variant of this hedge. Now let's see, is the game gonna okay, the game doesn't let me build that. Okay, so I'll have to use something else as a barrier. So to fill this gap, just use any outdoor decoration, especially the ones I mentioned earlier. And we're just gonna basically we'll rotate this fence so it's nice and symmetrical. And we'll place it right there, perfect. Now we're gonna go ahead and grab 2 animal feed containers and we're gonna place them directly in front of this. And then we're going to build a second one on this side as well, because both sides of this can function as a dispenser for these large animal bins, even though one side is larger than the other. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and build one more row of hedges, and let's build a nice row of these. Now, this one, we're just going to make symmetrical with this side of this barn over here. There we go. That way, this area is kind of off limits to the cows, like where I'm standing right now. So I'm just going back, I'm just slightly adjusting these because I can't place the last hedge. Otherwise, we'll just have to use fences again, which I don't want to use for this every single time. But I think this should fit now. or not. So what we can try using instead is these square ones. I think this will be fine. And now we just need to use something once again to close this gap. Now it doesn't really matter where we put this, but we'll just put it on this side over here where this person is standing. So we'll just put this fence here. There we go. Close that gap off. That way this enclosure is completely enclosed. And this one almost is. We still have like kind of this area now. I don't think the cows can wander through here, so we're not going to block that off. But we do need to close this off. Now for this, we're going to go ahead and rely on our trusty fence once again. There, perfect. Okay. And then let's go ahead and grab our second fence, and we'll just place this right here like that. There we go. But the whole goal of this setup is to divide all 52 cows into groups of 13. And that way you can go from each of these little enclosures one by one and herd the cows into the barn and milk them all at once. That way you don't have to count cows, and it's kind of easier to monitor. That's why I really like this setup, because I've been testing out a bit of a hybrid of this setup on one of my other layouts, and I've been liking it a lot. Now, one thing we do have to do, one last thing, is just build a fence here. Now, I'm pretty sure the cows will not walk through here, but if they start doing that, then we can go ahead and fix that really quickly. But let's go ahead and get some of our cows into these pens. But before we do so, let's go ahead. We're going to open this up like this. There we go. That way the cows, because we're going to build one gate here, we're not going to build the second one over there. And it doesn't really matter which one you build. We'll just go ahead and do a gate like this. There we go. And we're going to open it up. Perfect. And let's go ahead and herd 13 cows into the barn. So we're going to go ahead and select all these cows. There we go. We're going to get a total of 13 from our 52 cows we have in this big pen over here. And we want to make sure we click the lasso on the barn like this. Anyway, so we have 13 cows going into that barn, and then we're going to go ahead and select another 13, actually, and we'll wait for these cows to go into their barn, because you should actually click this barn over here. I think that one would be slightly better. But you might be thinking, Bunny, there's only 12 spots in the barn, and that's kind of intended, and I'll explain why in a second once we get all the cows in here. So they're all going to the barn. This one doesn't get to go in. And this is probably the biggest inefficiency of this setup, but it's kind of intentional as well. And I'll explain why in a bit. But we're going to go ahead, select another 13 cows and herd them into the other barn. So you want to make sure you rotate one of the hedges. All you have to do is turn it 90 degrees like this. You don't even have to move it, just rotate it. That way the cows will filter through here, because they're really good at fitting through tight spaces like this. So that's kind of good, but at the same time makes them really good escape artists. Now this cow will hopefully stay here. I hope this one doesn't try to go to this side, because then that gets kind of annoying. But you do have to be very, very intentional about how you move the cows, because the cows... Oh no, don't go over here. Don't go over here, cow. Because the cows kind of do what they want to do on their own. That's one annoying thing about them. However, as you can see, the cows will go through this little gap in the hedges. And we want to make sure that only one cow gets left out on this side over here. Now, it will be interesting. Again, I don't think the cows are going to try and escape through this side. So we can go ahead, and now that they're all over here, we're going to rotate this 90 degrees. There we go. Now, we're not going to milk any of these cows, but we can go ahead, close this gate, and... Are we missing a cow? I think we actually might be. So yeah, so even though I clicked 13 cows, or at least I'm fairly certain I did I really not click? Where did all the other cows go? So there's only 10 cows over here. We're missing 3 cows for some reason. So let's go ahead and get 3 extra ones herded over here. But we want to make sure we have a total of 12 cows in every single barn, and then 1 cow outside, because that cow, there's no capacity for it. Now, even though I herded 3 cows, it looks as if there's only 2 here. Again, actually, is the third one? I can't tell. They might be intersecting, kind of. Okay, so that was only 2 cows. We need to get an additional one. But as we're herding this last cow, I kind of want to explain why, or what the logic is behind this 13th cow in every pen. Because this barn can only hold 12 cows, but the problem is this game's logic for herding animals isn't that great. I know they've been making improvements to that. I'll give them that. However, when you click all the cows, you try to move them into the barn, usually 1 or 2 cows does not listen and does not go into the barn. So I didn't want to have to do this, but we're going to have to bring out the animal trailer, because the animal trailer is broken right now for what we need to use it for. You'll see in a second why that is. But we're going to go ahead. We just need to put one cow inside of here. We can go ahead. We have to lower the door. There we go. And now we should be able to herd a cow into the trailer. There we go. And we'll just basically move this trailer from there over here. We can go ahead. We're going to open the door so that this cow can go into this pen. We literally had to drive like 2 feet. But we can go ahead and let the cows out of their various pens. There we go. Also, hello to you again. Now, we're not going to milk them because we don't have a trailer out there to catch all of the milk, but we're going to go ahead and let them out so they can start eating, they can be happy, because right now, if their happiness dips below 90%, they won't give us the best milk in the game. So we'll just keep an eye on them. This person thinks they're a cow. You're a chicken. And now basically we have to do this all over again on the other side, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to speed this up 2 times. If it is too fast for you, then you can go ahead and go in the YouTube, there's like the cog button or whatever, the cog wheel, the settings for the video, where you can go ahead and change the speed of the video. You can just change it to the, I think like 0.5, and that should bring it up to a normal speed. So I'm going to go ahead and speed through this part because it's identical to this part, it's just being done on the opposite side. Okay, so this side is fully complete. Once again, we just have to get all the cows brought over here. But if you are building this on the front of your plot instead of like the middle of your plot, for example, then you will have to be kind of cautious, and we'll have to use the animal trailer as a means of moving the cows. I'm not sure if the cows are actually going to make it into the trailer from where they currently are and where the trailer is, but we'll see. We can fit a total of 8 in there. Now let's see, will they go in there? Oh, they will. Perfect. Because if the cows do wander off your plot, then they will disappear forever, and we don't want that happening, so that's why we're going to be using the animal trailer for this, because the shortest path to where they need to go is, well, it's this way, and that goes off the plot. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to transport cows gradually over to the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and skip through some of these parts, but like we did previously with that side over there, you need to make sure you have 13 cows in each pen. Now, you might have to do different things than I did to get those cows in their designated pens, but the easiest way is just herding them into the barn and keeping them in the barn. Now, the 13th cow can be kind of tricky, but you can always lure a cow over to one side or the other by having the food only available on one side and like removing the bin on the other side. Now, before we release these cows, we're going to go ahead and herd all of these. This is what I should have done in the last one. I accidentally put them into the wrong barn, but we're going to herd them into here. There we go. Okay, they're all confused. Don't be confused. Hold on. Maybe if we open 2 hedges, they'll be less confused. This is, okay, see, like, I don't know why they don't want to fit through here because they did that last time, but now they don't want to. But we're going to get 8 cows into that barn, and then we have 8 more here. We're going to go ahead and, oh, hello. We're going to go ahead and release these cows as well. We'll have to move 5 into this pen and then keep the rest here. And then all I have to do is move the remaining cows into this area where we are right now. So we have 5 cows selected. Let's go ahead and select the barn, even though all 5 won't go into the barn. That's okay. And we can leave this gate open because cows, I don't think, are able to escape. I think that's bugged. Same thing with like chickens not eating. Again, kind of weird. But we have 3 cows over here. Let's go ahead and count. We should only have 10 cows left. Now, if we have more than 10 cows or less than 10 cows, that means we have a missing cow somewhere. Hopefully we don't, though. So we have 8 cows selected, 2 that we can't fit into the trailer, which is perfect because that means, well, all the cows should be where they need to be. So once again, let's go ahead and release all the cows over here. There isn't really much we need to do. We don't need to move them into the barn at all. And it looks as if we're going to have a passenger with us. There we go. Now, I don't know if I explained this earlier, but the one thing about cows is that they need sufficient space to be 100% happy, and we can kind of trick that in the game by having one large fence surrounding all of these cows, because as you can see, this is more than enough. This fence here, this enclosure here was enough to keep 52 cows happy. Now, this one here is even larger, but we can partition that enclosure by using these hedges. That way the cows kind of stay in smaller pens while the game thinks they're in a much larger pen, and it's nice having them in such a confined area. I think it's enough area for them to graze and be happy, don't worry. but having them in a smaller area makes it easier to herd the exact number of cows you need into every barn. So that is probably the most difficult part about this whole thing, is getting the cows where they need to be and building their enclosures. So the next thing we need to do, it's pretty simple. We just need to build a few gates. Now we're going to use the sliding gates for these, and I'll show you some cool tips I have for you. But if we go over here, if the gate handle is on the wrong side, for example, it's over here, all you have to do is just click this. Click the rotate button. That's all you have to do. And then the game will automatically, if you build a second one, that way it can be double sized. That will automatically rotate itself. Now we're gonna do the same thing over here. We'll place one here. Oh, press the wrong button. We'll place one here, and we'll place one here. That way the milk haulers can leave. And we're gonna see, we're just gonna make sure they don't overlap. There we go, and there we go. And these we can keep open like that because the cows can't possibly escape. Now we also need to build some over here, so let's do that as well. And there we go. So this is pretty much the whole setup. Now, of course, you have to keep the cows fed, but this is a pretty easy and pretty efficient setup that I came up with. Now we're going to go ahead and spawn in the equipment we need. We can spawn in, I guess I will just do 2 liquid haulers for now. And then we're going to go to trucks, and to keep this symmetrical, we'll use 2, let's see, let's use this MTS, and then we'll use a blue MTS. There we go. So you need to specifically use these liquid haulers to transport between the barns and the chocolate milk area, because if you don't, then you probably won't be able to capture liquid from both barns at the same time. And I say liquid, I mean milk. So that way, as you're milking cows in both barns, the liquid, the milk, is going into the trailer. So these 2 barns will go to this trailer here, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And then here we have this one parked over here. Now it is a bit dark, I'm sorry y'all, but this should be sufficient. And all you need to do is basically drive back and forth with this in between the barns and the chocolate milk factory. That's literally it. I think that's pretty efficient. So we're just going to park these over here like this. And there you go. So this is basically it. Now you can also decorate this area as well. Now the only thing we are missing, of course, are the cocoa trees. And then other things you can include silos. If you look at silos really quickly, you can build a bunch of large silos as well. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to place many of these, except every time we place them, we're going to rotate it 180 degrees, kind of like this. I think that's a pretty cool design. That way you can, like, it's symmetrical, kind of. And then also, you can just literally drive in between where we're standing in the chocolate milk factory to deposit any extra cocoa you have stored. But now with the liquid silos, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate these. We'll do this side first. We're going to go ahead. We'll place one liquid silo here. We'll place another one right here. There we go. We're just placing a bunch of these, basically. So it's not going to be completely perfect just because these structures are difficult to make symmetrical, but we're keeping them kind of in the middle like this. That way you can basically deposit milk and other things by literally driving in a straight line. Or if you want to, like, retrieve any of these ingredients, you literally just drive in a straight line again. Now I'm going to go ahead and place down some gravel roads really quickly. Now I'm going to be kind of speedy about this. We don't have to be necessarily perfect. Do the same thing on the other side, of course. And then we'll also go ahead and build a gravel road over here next to our barns. And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to turn the grid off. That way we can connect these 2 pieces here seamlessly. So we'll go like, it's going to be kind of difficult, but we can make it work. So we're going to go like this, I guess. And then we'll go like, yeah, it's going to be kind of difficult. So this is good enough. You just basically have to make a bunch of small adjustments until you get them lined up. But you want to make sure your grid is set to 0 for this. And because we aren't in a desperate need for space, we're just going to build an additional road over here. We're going to give it enough space in between the barns. That way we can add some nice, like, landscaping, for example. And we're going to place this, we'll go like 2 out like that. There we go. We'll repeat this on the other side. Now, I don't know if you can necessarily see what I'm doing, but basically same exact thing. Okay, now we have not level. Great. So even though you have that bug, you just have to keep changing the size and place of it until the game lets you build it. But now that we have that built, we can go ahead and, I mean, we could make this a nice 90-degree turn, but we're not going to. I'm kind of lazy right now. We're just gonna, or no, I said you can make it a nice, like, gradual turn, but no, we're just doing a sharp 90-degree turn because I'm kind of lazy right now. Now we'll also go ahead, we're going to build a gravel road here. Now I can also like build like gravel path to like fully cover up this area. So we'll do like path really quickly and we'll get a gravel path. But we're going to do it like this, and then later on I'm going to make that look a bit better. But we're going to do the same thing again on the other side. So yeah, so here are the roads for this setup. I think it looks pretty amazing. Now, the only thing we have left to do is build the cocoa trees. Now, we're going to do a pretty cool layout, and what you could do if you want to keep it really simple and straightforward is if you go to fields, you can literally just build you need to do forest soil. Do forest soil. I've made the mistake before. You could literally just go like this if you're feeling kind of lazy, but we're not going to be lazy. You could do this. Again, it's the easy way, but we're going to do it differently. So the next thing we're going to do is build a few dirt paths, but basically the best cocoa harvester can right now only harvest 2 rows at once. So we're going to have 1 tree planted here, 1 tree planted here. But as the game adds better equipment eventually, then we can maybe consider doing something else. So this is how we're going to keep it. I think this is going to be fine. It's actually kind of going to be symmetrical. Now we're going to stretch these all the way to the end. So I think this is a good camera angle. We can actually, okay, not level. Oh my goodness. So basically do what I do, just place it until it works. Now we're going to go ahead. We're going to keep this 2x60. There we go. And we'll do the same for these other ones as well. 2x60. Now, once we get this area built, I'm going to speed it up just a bit. That way we can get the rest of this farm built in kind of a timely manner. This video is definitely going to be a long video, but this is meant to be a very comprehensive guide. We're going to place some more dirt paths. Now make sure you're not placing dirt roads. Dirt roads are way too wide for what we're trying to go for. Because what we're going to do with these gaps in between the trees, not only is it going to help us keep track of like the trees that we already harvested, but it's also going to let us place some lights in these in the middle of these roads. That way we can see a bit better during nighttime. So this space here is kind of wasted, but you can decorate it if you wanted to, or you could really plant like 1 row of trees if you really wanted to. So we're going to leave 4 tiles in between every single one of these rows that we're placing. Now I'm going to go ahead and speed up the next part. The next part's going to be really fast because I don't think anyone really needs to see us build more rows over there, but I'm going to have it in the video anyways. It's just going to be really fast. Now, of course, you know how to slow it down if you really want to. So here is the completed field. Now you'll probably notice during that little time lapse, I did make a few changes. The most notable change is that I just basically, instead of the rows ending as dirt, I went ahead and, well, I mean, this is dirt as well. This is a dirt path, but I went ahead and I added this dirt path here. So all 4 sides of every single row is fully enclosed by a dirt path now. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm hiring a bunch of fans to go ahead, plow, cultivate, and seed these fields. Let's go ahead and get them hired. So while everyone is hard at work, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to try not get run over first off. I'm going to just stand here. But we're going to go to lights really quickly. It's probably under outdoor something. There we go. And we're just going to be building double street lights everywhere. So this here is the center of my farm on this axis. There we go. So we're going to place a light here, and we're just going to place a few of these across. Now we are going to skip 1 row. Otherwise, I think it would just get way too bright. And that does kind of leave like this weird gap though. So what I think I might actually do is we'll place that there, and then we'll actually slide this one over. There we go. Okay. So I think that's pretty good. All the rows are going to be under light at least. And now I'm going to see what happens if we leave a 5-tile gap in between every single light. But I also want to make sure that everything is evenly spaced. And so I'm probably going to speed up this part, but basically I'm placing a light at every single 5-tile interval. Now, because this is the row in the middle, unfortunately, we will have to place these lights kind of like the way they are right now, but I think that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and here we have all the lights placed on that side. Now we just have to repeat that on this side. I'm going to speed it up even faster. And there we go. We have placed the last light, and that is pretty much all of the building we're going to be doing in this video. So before we milk any cows, I mean, we still have to wait a while for these trees to fully grow, so I don't know when that's going to be done. But we're going to do a bit of a walkthrough to give you a little, I don't know, alternate POVs of what the farm should look like. But we have the silos here in the middle, kind of asymmetrical, but they work. This is where you deposit basically all the stuff that goes into the silos, and then from these side roads, that's where you can withdraw and also deposit into the liquid containers. And then here we have the trucks that just drive back and forth between the barns and the chocolate milk factories, which is pretty efficient. And then we'll go over here. This is what the cow pen over here should look like. Just giving you places where you could pause in case you need a closer look. There should be a barrier in the middle. There should be a barrier over there. There should be like barriers in between any possible gaps, but the cows can't escape through here, so you don't need anything. And now going over to this side here we have the same exact thing, except on the other side, we have the animal feeder, of course, the bins, barriers, and everything you basically need. And we're going to go ahead and demonstrate how this setup works. So because all the cows are pretty, like, they're already separated, all you have to do is go into each of their little enclosures, click all 13 cows. You want to click all 13, even though 12 only fit into the barn, because sometimes 1 or 2 cows will not work. But we're going to go ahead and we want to move all the cows into the barn, and because the cows are so close to the barn, it doesn't take them much time to actually make it into the barn. Now that barn's kind of stinky, my bad. But we're going to go ahead and we could also just like milk those cows over there because they're already in the barn. But we're going to get all the cows into the barn first, and then we'll milk them at the same time. So let's go ahead and begin with the first barn we started off with. Now there is an annoying bug where cow milk slightly decreases randomly. Now we have to, there we go. Now it's back up to 300. So let's go ahead, get all these cows milked. Yippee. It's all going into the trailer, which is perfect. There we go. Every single barn stall is filled. Very efficient. And now on to the second barn over here. Now, if you really wanted to, you could probably milk that 13th cow that didn't make it into the barn, but it's not really worthwhile. We're just missing out on a few jugs of milk. And that's the last of the 48 cows we milked. Now, of course, if you really want to milk those last 13th cows, you can, but I don't think that milk is really worth it. I mean, technically, it's like 12 jugs we're missing out on, which is kind of a lot. But that's 12 jugs out of 96 times 2, which is like 180, 192 jugs, which will double in the factories. So then what you do is you take the truck, you drive forward. Oh my gosh, that person read my mind. You drive forward a few inches, you deposit. There we go. It's in the factory. It doubles. And then you drive backwards. You don't even have to press any other keys on your keyboard. Just drive back and forth, and boom, it is deposited. Now, looking at this calculator I made, which is soon going to be available in my Discord server, we can go ahead and set the number of cows we have to 52. And then if we look at cow efficiency, we have it already set at level 5. That's the level it is for me. And then we also have chocolate milk factory efficiency, which we can go ahead and set to 5 because we have that maxed out. And then if we look over here at where the values are calculated, as you can see, for the chocolate milk factory, the optimal trees we need for 52 cows is 416 cocoa. Now, these trees replenish every 5 minutes, so you can harvest them twice for every time you milk the cows. The cows take about 10 minutes. So this tells us that we are going to be producing almost 5,000 cocoa per hour. Well, actually harvesting 5,000 cocoa per hour if we want to be peak efficient. And this will produce a total of 399.4 jugs of chocolate milk every hour, which in turn sells for 9,435,825 coins in game. Now, if you want coins from me, well, the best way is just helping out in videos when I need help. So shout out to all the fans that helped out. I'm gonna get them paid, but thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I hope this chocolate milk setup helps you make a lot of points. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Goodbye. Okay, that's scary.